Katz and Cosby, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And you guys, let's go to Professor Alan Dershowitz. Professor Dershowitz, boy, oh boy, I was watching today some of the hearings, and this was rare. I mean, this is very unusual to see Supreme Court justices testifying. And it was Amy Coney Barrett and Elena Kagan who were testifying side by side and to talk about some of the threats that they are dealing with and their families. Amy Coney Barrett talking about this time where her son stumbled upon her bulletproof vest in the bedroom. I mean, is this the reality they have to live in, sadly?
Yeah, we saw what happened with Justice Kavanaugh. Somebody tried to assassinate him. We've seen other attempts in the past. Look, Elena Kagan was my poker buddy. I used to play poker with her on Thursday nights when she was a professor at Harvard Law School, and I was a professor. And, you know, she's a regular guy. I mean, she loves to go out. She loves to go to ball games. She loves to mingle with people, and she's vulnerable. I don't know Amy Barrett, but she also, you know, she's a family woman with kids, and these are regular people, and they deserve to be protected. Anybody who is on a hit list, whether it's the kind of hit list that the Iranians have, the kind of hit list that others have had, needs protection. I have a friend who's 24/7 being protected by the Canadian Royal Mounted Police because there's a fatwa out on him from the Iranian leaders. These are terrible times. I've needed protection from time to time because I've had people threatening me. At least in my case, I have people threatening me on both sides. So, you know, I'm an equal opportunity target.
Is that a compliment?
So all you have to do is duck and let them shoot at each other.
Yeah. So, you know, these are dangerous times. And I have an article that I wrote recently in which I said, these people who are calling for intifada, the next step is to join and become complicit. That's what happened in the 1970s when I represented some radicals, and some of them, you know, became murderers. Kathy Boudin assisted in murdering 2 policemen. We know others who have participated in murder. So, you know, the jihadists are one step away from the people who call for Palestine will be free or bring the intifada here. They're only one step away from being terrorists themselves, and we see it on both sides. We saw, you know, right-wing attacks on synagogues, left-wing attacks, and we have to be on our guard. And I'm glad that they had those hearings, and I'm glad that they are taking precautions.
You know, Professor Dershowitz, did you see the DSA platform that they're putting out this week? It's all anti-Israel, but it's also anti, police. It's really frightening. It's no prisons, don't deport anybody, even if they have a murder, record. I mean, it's really frightening. What is your reaction with they seem so bold that they're actually putting it out and think it seems like just lunacy.
Well, and, lead editorial in today's New York Times says the problem with the Democrats, they're not left enough. They have to become the party of Sanders, OAC, the Squad, and, it would have been Flatner a couple of weeks ago. And so there's a movement to make the Democrats even more radical, to move from socialism to communism, which is not a big step. But these people want the United States to become Cuba. The only people who don't want them are the Cubans, because they know what happened in Cuba, whether they be Cuban Americans or Cuban Cubans. So, if you want to know the answer to democratic socialism, talk to people who live in socialist countries, and they'll tell you two things. One, it's not democratic, and two, socialism doesn't work economically. So the Democrats are shooting themselves in the foot, and they're now shooting themselves in other parts of their body if they think that by moving hard left, they're going to get more votes. But, there are idiots who will vote for them, including many of my Jewish friends and colleagues who think they're being cool because they're voting for Mamdani, a socialist. Mamdani called Jews monsters. Monster is a term that was used repeatedly by Hitler and Goering and Goebbels. They portrayed Jews in their propaganda as monsters. And their message was, what do you do to monsters? You kill them, of course. They're not human, they're monsters. And when Mamdani used that word monsters to describe AIPAC, by which he meant Jews, he disqualified himself from ever being a leader of any country or any city.
Professor Swazi is taking charge of common sense Democrats against the socialists. Is that real? What do you hear from your sources?
My sources are that there are people within the Democratic Party who are trying to fight back, but they are losing because they're not cool, because the kids, the young people, are attracted to radicalism. Let's remember who brought Hitler to power. Young students at the University of Munich, the University of Heidelberg. Who brought Castro to power? Students. Who brought Stalin to power? Students. Who brought Mao to power? Students. So when you have students who are often just total ignoramuses of history, pushing hard, they're potentially the future. And that's why we have to be so frightened. That's why I left the Democrats. That's why I joined the Republicans. That's why, I wrote this book I'm working on now called Why I Left the Dems and So Should You. There's no future for anybody who's decent within the Democratic Party unless the Democratic Party changes and once again becomes the party of Bill Clinton or some of the other people who are moderates. But we're not seeing that happening in the Democrats now.
Craig Eaton.
Professor, I just want to answer John's question. Tom Suozzi's a smart politician, and he sees an opening here. And he sees that if he goes far left, he's going to lose. He's got a challenger. He's got a young guy who I know is running against him, who's really hitting him hard. So he's smart now. He's saying, let me go, back to the Democratic Party, stay away from the DSA. And I think that'll help him in that election.
I hope. We'll see. Remember, too, one of the problems is the primary system. There are so few people who come out to vote in primaries, and therefore a very well-organized, tight-knit group like Social Democrats can bring out enough people. Remember, OAC won her vote by a very, very small number of people voting. The same thing has been true of some of the others. So once you get large amounts of people voting, I think the DSA will lose its support.
Very quickly, Judge. Really quick.
Alan, just quickly, what do you think about open primaries as a resolution of that problem?
It's a small resolution of the problem. I think we have to have better systems than primaries, because if we're going to have primaries, we have to have more and more and more people voting. Right now, primaries are like, smoke-filled rooms. Smoke-filled rooms, you'd have 50 people determining the outcome. Now we have, 5,000 people. But it's still not democracy.
Yeah,
wow.
Great points. Well, Professor Dershowitz,
keep fighting.
Thank because you so much. We depend on you to keep fighting so we could...
I depend on you. So let's fight together.
We fight side by side.
You got it.
Thank you so much, Professor.